offer mute your cell phones, please. If you could do that, that would be great. And I'll come back in just a moment, and we want to give as much time to each of our candidates here tonight. But thank you again for being here. I'll be right back in just a moment. Can you hear me? Good. Welcome again. Thank you to those of you who are joining us
the boss is calling.
Online. We are so delighted that you are our guest tonight. And I want to thank, in advance, each of the candidates that are going to join us tonight. We are grateful at kind of a last minute. We put this thing together, said we don't know a whole lot of what's going on, or we haven't heard from some of the candidates. Why don't we invite them to come so we can hear from them? And we're so delighted those that were able to be here tonight. I just want to thank each of them. Also, behind the scenes doing a lot of work, Maria Mulcahy just really helped put this together, talking to all the campaign managers and just helping coordinate this. So thank you, Maria. As a church leader, we think, and I think I could speak on behalf of our church of Evangel Chapel, that we care deeply about the cities that we live in. We love and care deeply about New Jersey, and we love and care about people. And we really want the best for our towns. We want the best for our cities. We want the best for our schools. And so we thought, hey, this is important for us to hear, not just from a website, not just reading on a piece of paper, but really hear from the person themselves about what they intend to do, what they would desire to do to help New Jersey flourish. So that's why we're doing this, because we believe that you want to hear, and I certainly want to hear from each of them. Now, just to give you the format for the evening, we're going to give each of the candidates 10 minutes it'll be their stump speech, right? They're going to come up, they're going to share their passion, they're going to share their story, and really introduce themselves to us. And then, for about 20 minutes, we're going to have an opportunity, to ask questions of each of the candidates. You're going to be able to go into the aisles, and there'll be a microphone there, and you can briefly share your question, and they are going to be happy to answer that for you. So I'm really excited that you could be here tonight and that we could join together to hear. I know that we often say that this year is the most important election ever, kind of say that every year, but they really all are important, and this one is no different. And so tonight, our first candidate who has been able to join us is Brian Levine, and would you welcome him? The former mayor of Franklin, right here in Somerset County. Brian, welcome. We are so glad that you're here. Take it away.
Thanks. I'm honored to be here, Reverend. Thank you. And I told Reverend, I wish people would do this all over the state. He's right. You can't know someone from a piece of paper or really a website. Hear them, ask the questions. So a little bit about myself. I'm proud to be a candidate for governor of New Jersey in the primary coming up June 8th. I'm going to tell you why I think I'd be a great governor in New Jersey and what we need, why I can win an election. So a little bit about me. I live in Franklin Township, next door, Somerset County. That's the largest town here in Somerset County. I'm married to Lori, a psychologist. Some people say I did that because I needed her, but I don't know if that's the case. I have two daughters, Ariella, she's at Rutgers, and Shira, she's a senior in high school. And I graduated from good old Rutgers with a degree in economics and a minor in math and computers. And I have my MBA from good old Rutgers too, in management with a concentration in finance. I'm a CPA by profession. I service individuals and businesses every day. That's why I know taxes and finance. And formerly, I was director of financial planning and contract analysis at a Fortune corporation in New York City. Handled nearly a $1 billion budget with projections and plans, and that's what I think I can do for New Jersey, because I handle the taxes, I know what people and businesses go through, and for a major corporation, I did their finance and their planning, and that's where I'm coming from. So this evening, I'm going to inform you of my goals and outline why I think I'm the clear choice, because we can all believe in better. I'm a little bit ambitious in what I like to do, and my designs could be energetic, but I hope you'll be pleased with my intentions. And having opinions, in my opinion, is not enough to serve in office, especially governor. We all have our opinions. That's great. To me, there's three things you need. You have to, you have to have your opinions. You have to demonstrate that you can accomplish the tasks. You have to show you can win the election, and you have to show your convictions. I'm going to tell you how I fit all three of those criteria. So I've been an elected official in Franklin, Somerset next door. I was a councilman. I was a mayor 3 times there. I was a freeholder, now called a county commissioner, and a freeholder director here in Somerset County. So I've had victories for sure, but it's because of the people that I kept coming back, the myriad of people. And I really like it. In Franklin next door, we're a large municipality, almost 70,000 residents. I've got multi-million-dollar homes. I've got middle class. I've got housing projects. I've got people who are extremely socioeconomically challenged. So I always try to bridge that gap, and I really love seeing all kinds of people. So when I was mayor in Franklin Township, again, dealing with the people, there was a young woman, she was a crime victim of a shooting, and the mother was distraught. And I wasn't only a mayor who would sit down and dictate from Mount Olympus. I went to her home, I sat with her, I cried with her, and then figure out, and what can we do? There's violence, how can we do it? How can we make, I brought in community policing, I grew our police department, I tried to broker deals, and in other ways, I worked tirelessly with a planning board and a zoning board when they want to take someone, this is the part of the town that borders New Brunswick, lower socioeconomic, they wanted by eminent domain to take her house. And I thought, that's just wrong, because they wanted to put in a new structure. And I fought tirelessly. It took me 2 years. The council voted against me, but through public support, I reversed their opinion, because that was just wrong. No one, I think, is prepared to be a governor better than a mayor who's run a large town and can get things done. So the third point I mentioned on how to do it is show your convictions. I show my convictions by being here. I think this is important. Like I said, I wish we would do this all over the country. And my convictions for each little thing that I've done along the way, the couple of things I've done. So where I was elected mayor next door, Franklin is about, I'm running on the Republican ticket. Though, as I was saying to someone here, always vote for the best person, Democrat, Republican, Independent. Franklin's about 3-to-1 Democratic registered, but I won as a Republican 3 times. The council was Democratic my entire time. So people say, how did you do that? It's because I got support from the people who were behind me, and I always stuck to my principles. I was big on integrity. I would listen to everyone. I'd go to their events, and when someone had a different opinion, I didn't dismiss it out of hand. I listened. And if I couldn't do it, I'd say, I'm sorry, I can't do that, either legally or my convictions don't follow it. Or sometimes they would change my mind. I'd say, that's a good idea. That's what I'm going to do. So criteria 2, the ability to win. I've proven in a Democratic registered town, I could be mayor. Somerset County has now more registered Democratic voters than Republican, and I won there twice as freeholder and was the freeholder director. So now about the state. Here's my fiscal hat, my MBA, my CPA hat, my director of financial planning. In the best of times, when times are booming, New Jersey is broke. That's because people, frankly, are irresponsible. I hate to say that. Sorry, Reverend. And they
Talking about me?
No, not you, but using language like that in your church. The legislators and the governors have kicked the can down the road so that your great-grandchildren are paying $30 billion deficit just on the pension alone, plus everything else. And when I left as mayor in Franklin, we had one of the highest surpluses in the state because you can only pay what you can afford, fiscal conservative, but get things done, still grow the police department, and bring in more services than we've ever had before. So that's how I can do it. And number 1 on the list, my string of successes to show the track record. You've got to show that you can get something done. So I'll tell you mine. As I told you, when I left as mayor, we had the strongest surplus in the state, as I can see. I was one of the first ones to bring cameras into the council chambers because that's important for people to know. I was one of the first ones to bring cameras into the police cars. That protects the police, that protects the citizens. And the police were glad about it. And getting computers into their cars early also. Integrity matters, that's number 1. I always had that as my philosophy. As a freeholder, helped us maintain our AAA bond rating, again, fiscal issues. I guided my town through crises. And how I did that was, I didn't just say things or hide. When we had a few big problems, if you ask me, I'll go into specifics. I brought together the council, the Board of Ed, and I mean this literally in the same room. The police, our religious leaders, our Board of Education, some community activists, and said, let's see what we can do to get this done, bringing everyone together. And in Franklin Township, where I was mayor, Cedar Grove Lane, sometimes people refer to it as Religion Row because it's got almost more houses of worship than anywhere else. I never said no to a house of worship. Whenever they wanted, I would try and get them in, which we did. They were never turned down when I was mayor. So a few other things we have to fix up. Department of Motor Vehicles is a mess. I can't understand why there's such long lines. One thing that could be, do you know in New Jersey, some of the computers are still using Windows XP? Can you even find that? In New Jersey, we have one of the highest paving costs per mile, if not the highest, than anyone in the country. I would want to know why. I think we're just a cesspool, pardon me, of wasting money. I think we have to have empathy for people. Our businesses were closed. There's also ancillary issues to the pandemic. Whether you believe in the business is closed or not, I think we should have been more open. But has anyone, I don't see anyone address the ancillary issues. Domestic violence is up. Mental health services are in greater command. Undiagnosed illnesses, because people are afraid to go to the doctor, are going to be up. I fear for these people now. Nursing home death statistics have been buried. Unemployment is over the top. It's irresponsible, it's insane, and I think it should stop. We have, in the past few years, we've had higher taxes for our vulnerable citizens, And we've had gun magazines become illegal. Liquor's an essential business, but religion is not. Senior citizens had to wait for a COVID shot, but prisoners were the top of the line. Defund the police, but empty the jails early. It's insanity, and I wanted to stop. I'm a common sense kind of person. My record is I get things done. I'll give you another example of my fiscal awareness. See this? Warning, here's my prop. These are all manuals I've written. I've given webinars, I've given seminars, I've given talks on fiscal issues. Each of these is a different issue over the years. Sometimes it's finance, sometimes it's budgeting, sometimes it's accounting, all different kinds of things. Taxes, payroll. I lived what I do. I've given these not so much to accountants, but to business people, lawyers, engineers, because I know what I'm talking about, frankly. And I want to live it in the state capitol, what I want to do. So I take on these tasks because we all have dreams that remain, and I think we can all rise to the occasion. We have resources for those that are bullied. We have to supply a safety net for our vulnerable people, but tax relief for our middle class. So we want to promote our businesses, and I say to my colleagues, we have our founders' values, and we have to continue doing that. And for some things, I want to say it's over. The partisan bickering, as far as I'm concerned, is going to be over. Isolation by evil forces will be over. The siren call of political calling for irresponsible items, that'll be over as far as I could go. I stand with you. I won't let go. Integrity is number one. So hopefully, I'll surround myself with people who are experts in that field. So I guarantee to you, we're going to prevail. Issues will change over time, but I believe in better. I think that's my slogan. Yeah, there it is. And that we can be better. So I hear your requests. I shudder at the sorrows we see, but I rejoice at the triumphs. And I am with you. I think we can take back Trenton. Not the unions, not the special interests, not the lobbyists, none of whom support me. I'm a very grassroots kind of person. I did this as a councilman, a mayor, and everything else. I believe in the people. I'm a proud American. I'm a proud New Jerseyan. So if you can vote for me, I'll try and make us better. And I promise, 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 I will always, always listen to you.
Awesome. Thank you.
I'm sorry if I took over.
Thank you. I'm going to invite my microphone helpers to come to the center. And I'm going to invite you to come to one of the aisles if you have a question for Brian. And make it brief. And I know Brian would love to answer that for you.
Absolutely.
So please come forward and ask your questions. He's ready to answer. Yeah, just jump out.
The young lady? Is she?
Why don't you guys go back in the center of the aisles, and they'll come to you.
What makes you want to serve New Jersey in the capacity you are?
Okay, a great question from a very intelligent voter or a future voter. I'm not sure. Question is, what makes you want to serve New Jersey in the capacity that you do, that I do? You know what? This is, being a councilman, a mayor, county commissioner, I really love doing it. Don't vote for me, though, because I love doing it, but I do. Vote for me because you think I can do it. You know, okay, I'm a CPA. I work with corporate finance, but I had to give back to the community. Before I ever ran for office, I was on the board and became the president of the board of Central Jersey, Family Services of Central Jersey. Actually, as a point, fiscal again, when I took over as president of the board, this is going back 20 years, they had a deficit of $60,000 and they were thinking about closing their doors. I went to it, I brought in new board members, I consolidated, and it survived. So I like having those little accomplishments. I'm on the board still of Center School of Central Jersey, special needs, and I like to see if I can give back a little bit. I've got daughters a little older than you, and you got to make the world a little bit better place. So that's what drives me.
Awesome. Thank you, Abby.
Thanks.
Come over here. Yep.
Hey.
Hello. I don't think it's on. And I sure as heck don't need it, but anyway.
The people online need to hear you.
Just general question regarding the NJEA and a lot of the mandates that's going to be happening within our school districts, curriculum changes, helping people get elected to Board of Educations, changing the curriculum, changing the process of a lot of the stuff that our kids have been in the public school system, been indoctrinated in. How does that come down from the governor to the NJEA? How can we kind of lessen their power and have parents be more advocates for their children and their curriculums?
Okay. The question was about education and things that come down and the mandates that are coming to the kids, basically, right? I'm going to take a two-pronged answer. I'll try and be real brief. As far as education in general, I'm going to take a step back. I hate hypocrisy. Okay. We have school choice in New Jersey. The only problem is it's school choice for people who can afford it. And if you can go to Rutgers Prep, that's great, or the Petty School or wherever, and you have higher socioeconomic or mortgage your house, that's good. Like our governor, it's his choice. He made a lot of money, free enterprise, God bless him. People middle and socioeconomic don't have that choice. I think it should be equal, like it should be one or the other. You can't advocate schools. When I remember discussing with a Board of Ed member years ago, well, it wasn't a Board of Ed member, someone in the education system, and she had said, the goal has to be a strong public education system. And I said, no, to me, I hope I don't get myself in trouble with your parishioners. The goal is to educate children. If I do that with a strong public education, that's great. If I do it with other means too, then that's great. If we do it with parental choice of at-home schooling, then that's their choice. Now, as far as the specifics, the schools, for some reason, the state feels they have to put everything on the schools and on the teachers. You only have so many hours per day. So if you're teaching X, you might not teach Y or Z. One thing, at the risk of getting myself in trouble again.
No worries there.
A new mandate, as I'm understanding, came down to teach more like LGBTQ to kindergarten first graders. Nothing against LGBTQ. They're in our society, they can do what they want. I don't think any sex ed is in kindergarten or first or second grade because they don't even know what you're talking about, and they shouldn't at that point. So I think I think you just have common sense on how you do things. So that's where I come from there. If I also had the choice, I would put the money in the classroom. I think we could have more money in the classroom, teachers, paraprofessionals. Okay, I'm going to get in trouble again if there's superintendents or things out here. Bridgewater and Hillsborough and Franklin, North Brunswick, South Brunswick, Dunellen, Middlesex, Camden, Pennsauken. Everyone's got a superintendent. They all have a dozen people, curriculum coordinators, and that's literally millions of dollars per town. Most states do it by the county. I'm not saying we have to do that, but I'm not sure why we duplicate the effort in every single town. I would try and put in an incentive for schools to try and coordinate what they do. And I know there's home rule, people don't like it, but I think that's where the savings go. More in the classrooms, less in the administration.
Awesome, thank you.
Right. Thanks. Hi.
I have 6 children in the school systems, private and public, and I'm just wondering, what is your stance as far as masking and mandating vaccines for them in the future? I know they're required to wear masks now, and there's talk of mandating vaccines, or I know there's a lot of talk about having proof, passports, all of that. I would like to know where you stand on that and what you would do to change it or keep it the same.
Okay, the question is about you have children private and public school, and they're mandating masks, and in essence, what's my opinion on that? Is that correct?
Yes, and also going forward, I know some places are requiring vaccine passports to get into certain things and go and do things, and I'm just wondering like what the future is going to look like for these kids as far as, number one, wearing a mask to school all day, health reasons, social reasons, all kind of reasons, and number two are what are the plans going forward as far as forcing them to have vaccine passports or some kind of proof, or they're going to be separated, or people going to be separated based on whether they have been vaccinated or not vaccinated. For instance, I know if you go to a Yankees game, they have vaccine section and an unvaccinated section, which to me is really ridiculous, and it's crazy. It's outside,
Yeah.
but not only that, it's just our medical freedoms being taken away from us, and the impact it's having on these kids to have to wear a mask, and also not be able to, some of my kids go to a larger school, they can only go half days because they can't facilitate lunch. So I have a sophomore and a junior who have gone pretty much 2 years of school only having half days, which there's gonna be an effect on our students all the way from kindergarten to college. So I just want to know what your thoughts and plans are for
The other
that.
part is on vaccine passports, et cetera, and going forward. So I'm a CPA, not a medical professional, but my opinion is, like a lot of us, as we were kids, I'd go out in the dirt and play baseball, and I think that helped us build an immune system. I'm afraid that might be compromised a little bit now. I'll give you my personal history, even though you didn't ask. And the bottom line is, I think a lot should go to parents. You have the choice. My children got the normal MMR, whatever they are, vaccines over time. I did not get a flu shot because I chose not to, but I did get a COVID just because my mother's in her 90s and she wanted it. She was more afraid when I was there, and so that was fine. That's my choice. And I don't want the start of two classes system. Like you said, okay, the COVID section, the non-COVID section, whatever you're going to call it, let's separate them. Or put embarrassment or stigma on kids. Okay, you've got to sit in this classroom, and these sit over here. I'm not a medical person. Kids have a strong immune system. I think they can do it. I think it's a parent's choice to do what he or she likes. And I think going forward, I think the easing of the masks is the thing to do. Again, in my CPA practice, clients that were restaurants, they'll never come back. I did some studies. My degree is actually economics. When there's recessions, like in 2008, a lot of the kids coming out of college, it takes them sometimes years, decades, or never recover where they've started back because the economy was bad. And of kids in school, and my daughter, like I said, is in high school, I know the math education isn't as good as it could be. Just because you're not there, the teacher's not walking around saying, oh, do it this way. Or you can't raise your hand, and raise it on Zoom doesn't quite cut it. So I fear, especially in math and sciences, that kids are going to be behind. And this, New Jersey likes regulation. I don't know why. Rutgers is like one of the only universities that says you have to prove you've been COVID vaccinated to set foot on campus. Look, if someone wants to wear a mask, that's his or her prerogative. That is fine. And I think if a business requires it, free enterprise, they can do that, but I don't see the continued for like everyone in the world. And I did a Facebook post last year on statistics and COVID, and there's a lot of scare tactics going on, which don't quite hold water. So I hope I answered that.
Okay, we have time for another one.
I'm sorry if I'm long-winded.
We have time for one more. We started a little late.
Joe.
I have two quick questions for you. And
Yes, sir.
I was out of the room for a while you were speaking, so I apologize if
No,
you
we're
answered
good.
this in your discussion. But first of all, thank you for being here. We
No, I
truly
appreciate
it
this.
at the church and so, two quick questions. This is an extremely blue state.
Yes.
And I did hear you speak about how you won in Franklin and so on. But on the state level, that's a much bigger scale.
Mm-hmm.
So first question is, expectations to win just from that perspective. My second question is, based on my understanding, I follow it pretty closely. You know me from previously.
Yeah.
my understanding, it's going to take a lot of money to push your campaign forward. And my understanding is that right now, Jack Ciancarelli is way ahead in terms of fundraising, and compared to all the other three candidates. How do you plan on raising the money, getting the notoriety, and basically gaining the endorsement of your own town to win?
In the primary or in November?
Obviously, the primary counts, right?
Okay.
So both ways, actually.
Okay, so questions are, what was the first part again? I'm sorry.
How does a Republican win?
Oh, okay, yeah.
Since
Okay, yeah. Question, has a Republican, like myself, win in a Democratic state, Democratic majority state? And number two, since one of the other candidates, Jack Ciancarelli, is way ahead in fundraising, where does that leave me? Unfortunately, money sometimes is the lifeblood of politics. I wish it weren't. And like I said, and look, Jack's been at it for several years. He's gained the endorsement of the party standard bearers, and I've always been just a grassroots kind of guy, going to the people, and that served me well. So I'll continue with that. I think we can still get the word out. Fortunately, things like social media and such as that aren't as costly as putting an ad on ABC television in prime time. So you can get word out like that. Whomever wins the primary is going to have a whole new funding of money because then the party is behind you. And so I always tend to be an optimist, but a realist. So yes, it's a little bit of an uphill battle, but I think I can do it. And the same thing for winning in a blue state. When the first time I ran for mayor in Franklin, okay, I was a gentleman, he was very well known, he had raised money for things, and people would literally tell me, no exaggeration, the first time I ran, because it used to be the mayor was picked from amongst the council. The year I first ran, it was separately elected. They said to me, Brian, it's good you're running, but you know you really don't have a chance of winning. And that's okay. That's almost like a spur to keep on trying more. So I said, okay, I'll go on my way. And as it turns out, I did win. And in that first race as mayor, I had raised like $15,000, and the opposition had over 10 times that, $150,000. They had ads on cable TV, on radio, they rented a bus, they drove around town. They had, before the election, rented a suite in a hotel for an inaugural victory party and gotten around, and I went to people. So it was done and tried to get the word out. I won't say I won by a big margin, but I did win that in a town that was 3-1 against me, and I was outspent 10-1. So hopefully my optimism has a little bit of backing behind it.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here.
Too.
I know we can find out more information about you.
Yeah.
What's the website?
LevineforNJ.org.
FOR, right? Not the number 4. Levine, FOR-NJ. All right, awesome. Would you thank Brian for being here? Thank you.
This is an open invitation. I gave Maria my personal cell phone. If anyone asks you, you can feel free to give the number to anyone, and they can call me directly. I used to put my personal cell phone on my mayor card, my freeholder card. It's sitting out in the audience, but I like to be accessible.
Awesome. Thank you so much. There's more information about Brian at the table in the lobby where you came in, if you're here in person, and then again on his website. Thank you so much.
The pleasure is mine. Now, if I can do a pirouette off the stage, you're going to be impressed. Yeah, I think so. Hey, thanks, Steve. Good question.
All right, you're gonna take just a moment. We're waiting on the next candidate to come. We're just like 2 minutes, and let me.